Well, Graeme, it's the first time we've officially got together since I think you said it was February.
It was, yeah.
Yeah,
It was.
and in that time, quite a lot of excitement we've had at the club, and particularly getting to that end of the season game, that take a lot of stress out of you.
For sure, it's. This is something I committed to doing once every 6 weeks when I joined, so I've failed miserably. This is the first time we've spoken since February. But you're right that there's been so much going on, and I think the tail end of the season was ultimately mission accomplished. That was what we set out to do in January, was to stay in the league, and we've managed to do that. But not without the roller coaster of the journey, as you would imagine, as always happens in football. But the game itself against Partick was excellent. Great to see the number of people that were there. Brilliant for me to see the connection with the players and the sort of fans in the community really coming together. And as I say, mission accomplished. We won't celebrate avoiding relegation. We absolutely won't do that. But there was massive relief. So it allows us to go and plan for next season. And the work continues. The season's never ended. It's just the next one starting again.
Yeah, well, I was going to say that to you. I know the next week you were straight back in looking at contracts, contract talks, everything for players. And we're losing a few players. That's a tough time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we've been pretty open about saying we really wanted consistency within the player group. We wanted a core of people to remain with us for a period of time. That's why we've offered players sort of 2 or 3 year deals, because we do want to keep that core together. We think that's really important. And teams that tend to do well tend to have that core there. But for some reason, players maybe weren't part of their journey going forward, and others have chosen not to be, and that's football. That's the job that we're in. It's understandable, but what we want to do now, though, is to have that continuity, have a group of players that can be with us for this next part of the journey. The one thing I'd love to highlight, Cameron, I know there was a lot made of the picture of the bench in the Partick game, and it was a brilliant image for me, because we've talked a lot over the past sort of 4 or 5 months about this idea of unity. Unity within the player group, unity within the staff group, unity between the sort of club and the supporters, and for me that really captured it brilliantly. One of the things I think a lot of people might not know is that 2 players on that bench already knew that they weren't going to be here next year, Marcus Fjortoft and Alex Kenyon, and their reactions, I think, told me everything you needed to know about how real that unity was, because they were celebrating for their teammates as if they were key parts of the team on that night, or scored the winning goal themselves, and it was brilliant to see.
Yeah, so quite amazing. Marcus as well, he's done an awful lot for the club that people might not have seen. His leadership in the, I think you were talking about, in the reserve structure as well, and just the personality.
Yeah, and I think that's something we really need to be clear on when we try and build a squad. It's having people to balance out in the positions is the most obvious thing, but you need a different balance of personalities as well. Keith Glendinney's done a brilliant job in looking at different attributes that we might have had. So who could we maybe have relied on for goals, and being clear on that. Who provided some pace, who provided, set piece delivery, who provided leadership, and what does that look like? It might not always be the most vocal person. And you're right, you've hit the nail on the head there. Marcus was somebody that was a leader in that changing room. He didn't play a lot, but his personality, the way he spoke to people, the way he was about the place, that showed real leadership. So we'll miss that, and that's something we need to replace maybe in different ways as well next year.
So you're looking at people to fill the gaps. What kind of player are you looking for? You've said that you need leadership.
Yeah, so I think it will be a balance. Now we've announced today, obviously 2 central defenders have left, so that's an area of the pitch that we need to bring in other players. We would like to bring in some players that can be adaptable and maybe play in a couple of positions, because we're not going to run with a big squad next year, so having that adaptability is important. But it is looking back to those attributes, not only the positions that they play, but who can bring his creativity, who can bring his pace, who can we rely on to try and get us a good number of goals, and can we be clear on how many we might need from different areas of the pitch in order to get where we want to be next year. So there's a bit of work and a bit of thought in that, and trying to balance and do the jigsaw, but that's the work that's ongoing at the moment.
Now, we know you've got a strategy. You talked about it from the day you came in. There was building a strategy for what is a United, and I noticed you mentioned it there. The hashtag We Are United seems to be a core part of this. How are you taking that forward?
There's been brilliant conversations. The last board meeting we spent a lot of time, and what we wanted to do was to be really clear on what we think the club is, what the club stands for, what's important. And I think that's a brilliant piece of work to do, because it then sets the standard of everything that you do at the club. So it should think about the type of players and the type of people that we want to recruit. It should absolutely, set as a standard of how we want to engage with potential sponsors and how we actually. I'm not going to use the word sell ourselves as a club because that sounds overly commercial, but how we speak about ourselves as a club and the type of things we think are important. Again, there was some of that conversation was quite confidential, but one of the things I really want to share is that everything that came back from the conversations that we had with the board that day and from the chairman was about being a club that wanted to make a difference in this area, in this town. It was beyond what happens on the pitch at 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon. Now, I need to be clear on this, we absolutely want the team to be competitive, and that's really important. In order to do that, we need to grow the business, we need to grow the revenues, we need to look at a lot of different things and how we actually can get a bigger player budget to help us on the pitch. But all of their heart was about leaving a legacy, about doing really good things in the community, and about having a football club here in this town that can connect with people. And that really speaks to me. I loved the conversation. And I loved it because I think about things like the conversations that we had about Cammy Salkeld. I was in the door weeks. Cammy tears his cruciate ligament. He's out of contract and he's injured. Now, legally, there probably wasn't really an obligation for us to do anything in that instance. It was just unfortunate. But the conversations with David and the board were really clear. We've got an obligation morally to do something to help that young person, and we did. Now that's not, we weren't awash with cash or anything like that, but we did the right thing, and that is being able to walk the walk. So part of the work that we're doing just now is actually to be clear on what we want to be as a club, to set out a vision, to set out a plan. But the bigger issue then, the bigger challenge then, is actually living it and walking the walk. And I've seen real clear examples since I came to the club about people who are absolutely ready to walk the walk here and are already walking the walk, and that really excites me.
You were talking about trying to get cash in there and whatever. I was talking to you before this, actually. I've been out and about with the Football Academy over the last couple of months, and what an amazing job they're doing to make something of the community. This is bigger than that though, isn't it?
It's bigger than it, but it's also part of it, Callum. So I keep asking the question, so if I'm a local business, what would make me want to invest money in Ayr United? What would make me want to sponsor the team? Now, absolutely there'll be a lot of people who are supporters of the club that will want to do it because they're in a position that they can. But I would love people that want to invest in Ayr United because they see something at work here that's bigger than football. Even the conversation that we had with the guys at Juicing, the kind of chief executive of the national juicing from I think he lives in London now, came up, and he was amazed at some of the work that the academy were doing. That was what he wanted to invest in. That was what made him say we need to be working with this club longer term. This isn't just a year that we'll do something. We want this to be a longer term arrangement, because he heard about the work that's been done in the community with the strollers and the Honest Men's Club and all the work that's been done in schools. They love the fact we're giving away free tickets for kids to come and watch games and genuinely trying to get the next generation of people to come in and support the club. So that's a big part of the reason I think why they invested in the football club, was a lot of the things that were happening out with 3 o'clock on a Saturday, and I love that. Yesterday's event, I'll touch on that. The event we had for Remembering Absent Friends, unbelievably emotional, and people who came to that, a lot of them actually didn't have any real connection with the club or the team, but their family members did, so by extension they're aware of the club, and they were just in an environment where they just felt as if they were close to the people that they lost. That's powerful, really, really emotional, and really, Jim Smith, the club chairman, did a brilliant job of actually just capturing that emotion really well, and for me I think that's what we can use to try and grow the club. It's not all about selling shirts and selling season tickets. Now, of course, that's important when you want to try and grow things moving forward, but there's a real heart around this club and in the club, from Lee, the manager, the way he is as a person, from David Smith, the chairman, from the board, from the staff, about being a club that cares, about being the club that really connects with people where they are, and I'm excited by that, and I've absolutely no doubt that will help us to grow the club moving forward.
It was very nice against Partick Thistle to see how many young people were in with, you talked about it's not just about selling kit or whatever, but how many young people attended that match with the United kit on, really supporting the club. Yeah,
for sure. And listen, I don't want to go the wrong way on this here, because all these things are important without a doubt, and that's another thing I would say is I don't think I would have come to the club if I got the impression that this was going to be boom and bust. that we were just going to throw loads of money at the playing budget for a couple of years and keep our fingers crossed and see if we could make it work and achieve a goal or get promoted or whatever it might be. Because you've seen it done a million times, it very, very rarely works. What I've seen and heard though is an absolute desire to grow the club. And these type of things are part of it. So seeing young people in this area wearing their United kits, that's what it's about. We've probably got 5 or 6 core revenue streams if you think about it. One's on-field performance, so the higher we get in the league and the further we get in cups, the more prize money we can make. Ticketing, so match day tickets and season tickets, and the more that we can sell, clearly that's probably our biggest revenue generator. Merchandising, so again, it's funny seeing Jan put the towel out on the pitch, which is currently got about 10 tonne of sand on it for the renovation work that's getting done. So just trying to find innovative ways to sell things in the shop. And then Martin's World, so the kind of sponsorship side and the commercial side and the hospitality side. So when you take into these things, potentially some transfer income in years to come with some of the young players that are coming through at the moment, that's it. These are the 5 or 6 probably core areas that we can generate income. How do we get more season ticket holders? Hopefully by performing well on the pitch, undoubtedly, but hopefully from what you saw against Partick Thistle, having an engagement with people, people coming here and feeling like they've had fun, feeling that they've had a great experience at the football game, and feeling that they want to come back. Now, whether that's a young person that's pestering their parents to come, or whether it's guys or women that came for the first time, enjoying a social event at Cameron's Bar and then coming over at the game, that's the type of thing that we're working on at the minute. How do we make Somerset Park a brilliant place to come, and a place where people want to come, whether it's to watch a game, to have an event, to do all of these things, because that's ultimately how we'll grow the club and help us to invest in the team, and then ultimately, hopefully we make the right decisions there and we can be successful on the pitch too.
You've mentioned the fact about the sales of season tickets there, taking that individually, is that today's the launch of the season ticket sales. How much does that help in the building for next season in the short term?
It's vital, Cameron. I think a couple of things I would say on that is, we had to do a bit of work in terms of seeing where we were from a price perspective amongst the other clubs in the league. How competitive were we being? And that's something. So the season tickets will go on sale today. There's been a revised price structure, and that has been because we've looked at other clubs and seen where we would sit within that. But that's really important. It is absolutely our biggest revenue generator. We'd love to sell more season tickets than we did last year. We'd love people who have got a season ticket this year to try and think about bringing somebody else along with them, because the numbers that came against Partick were brilliant. The atmosphere against Partick was great. Can we get that every week? Why not? Let's have an ambition to do that. We hope some of the news that's come out over the last week about some of the players that have been willing to sign up and stay has motivated people, and they can see a direction of travel here. We've signed Ben Dempsey today from Charlton for an undisclosed fee. Again, there's a bit of ambition in that. A young player that's really bought into the club, wants to settle here for a period of time, wants to help the club move forward. So I'm really hoping that people can see a direction of travel here. I'm really hoping they can feel a connection with the club, and I'm really hoping that we can get more season ticket holders than we've had before, and we can go on a journey together.